do a quick video on what I carried as a fabricator and show some of the tools. I retired, so I'm about to take all this stuff and throw it in the toolbox. I'll never have to live in this bucket again, which usually I would keep this in my garage. I replenish it when I need it, and then it would go in the front trunk of my car and go to work with me. Most of this stuff, you really, you want your own stuff, but you can get by without most of it. And then like stuff like the hood, they always had hoods at work, but maybe you don't want some other guy's sweat on your headband or whatever. So I'd always just keep a cheap hood with me, and I had this is a cheap auto darkening hood. I had a Jackson fixed shade hood, but I got rid of that. It cracked. Somebody rolled over it. But this is what I got, and this is everything I carried. I'll just start with this because I would throw this bag in there, and this bag changes, or used to change often. So I'd keep two of these, and I have one that's like a larger size for me that I can wear in the winter with a couple layers under it, and then that's for your neck. It's just a bib. I would never keep the bottom part around. On the winter one, I have the bottom part on just for the warmth. That's more for in the summer if I'm wearing a t-shirt. Typically, I wear no-neck sleeves. They got the thumb holes in them. I'd always keep, for general fabrication work, I'd always keep a fab jacket around or whatever. And if I had to crawl around under something. Knee pads were always provided to us. If you're working in like a tunnel and you got to be on like a roadbed or something, these are pretty good. When you need them, but the ballast digging into your knees for 2 minutes could ruin your day. And then anytime a confined space situation came up, I just have one of these hoods. They provide us with the dark lenses for these, for like pipeliner style lenses. But that's it. You just wear it kind of like a bandana, and you could weld and grind in a confined space. And that's all I kept in that bag. Like I said, cheap auto darkening hood. I probably went through a few of these a year, but the one thing I will say is these are the old gloves that they issued to us. Every time one would get worn out or I'd melt out the fingers, I just cut the gauntlets, and then you just pop 3 holes in it and zip ties, and that's a nice neck protector for overhead stuff. One place I never cheap out is my chipping hammer. This is a pretty good chipping hammer. They always have those spring type ones, and they're kind of made of a soft steel, and the edges get really, really boogered up pretty fast. So I always kept my own hammer. These clips are for welding blankets. That's really all they're for. They'd always have the clips, but when I had my own, I didn't have to go looking for them. I could just grab a welding blanket, go where I needed. The welding blankets are more for just a splatter. Like you could use them to keep sun out of your area if you're working in the hot sun, or the wind if it's a cold, windy day and you're working by the water or something. You could just throw that up as a curtain. But that's why I keep that there. This clamp, this is probably a couple inches longer when it started, but it was just a broken clamp. I weld a piece of angle iron to it, and then all you got to do is throw a tack right there. One tack is all that's needed. Tighten down whatever you need. Usually it's for aligning plates, like 5/8 half-inch plate. If the plates have to be next to each other and welded together, clamp it down, weld it, loosen it up, and then bend it towards the clamp surface, and it breaks right off. I keep notebooks, and then like whatever we're working on, whatever we're coming up with. And then the one good thing about the notebook is if I'm working deep in a tunnel or something and I'm 1,000 yards away from all the tools and I need to come up with a tool list, I'll come up with it there. So if I needed if I took some measurements, made some ideas, got a material list, and then decided I needed 2 grip hoists and 20,000 pound bottle jack and a couple other things to get the job done, I write it all down. That way when I start talking to somebody and you forget. But that's what the notepads are for. They're pretty good. This is just for sheet metal to check the size. I like that a lot. And then I keep an extra spacer and arbor nut for 5/8 angle grinders. Because, people lose them, or people put a Y wheel on and forget to put those back on. This is just a regular clamp. Forget who makes this. Should be on there somewhere. Maybe not. Huh. Oh, there it is. I don't know if you can see that. Gibraltar. But yeah, that's just a good clamp. I like it because it's got the quick release. You can go in quick. Ground lead cable. That's pretty good because if you're running like a long run, you got like railroad tracks or something, you don't have to bring your ground clamp. You could just ground it to one of the tracks and then take the ground off of there and then clamp this to your workpiece. So you don't have to drag 100 pounds of grounding lead to wherever you're going. Also, that works with like handrails and anything else like that. What's this? Combination square. I've run over a couple of these. I've lost a few. These are, I don't know, $8, $10. You can get whatever you want. I mean, if you want to spend money on a Starrett and, you know, then drop a piece of 5/8 plate on it or 3/4 plate and then find out that it's garbage. It's my spud wrench, good for connecting. And since we work on a lot of different things, I just get the adjustable type. I have the ones with, you know, either 7/8 or 1 inch, but I like the adjustable because no matter where I'm working, I know that I'm gonna have the right one. It's not as good as having the actual size, and also it has a nice striking surface. But we always have extra hammers. They provide safety glasses, but I kind of like these, so I just buy these. I feel like the black frame keeps them from getting scratched up, and they're a little bit better quality. I don't know who makes these. PMX. I think he died. Maggio. I don't know. These are like $10 each. I usually buy like 5 or 10 pairs at a time, and then I'll usually buy like 5 pairs of these. So these were good. I use these for plasma cutting, oxyacetylene, exothermic torching. You know, using the arc force, the Broco, the arc air, all that stuff, and always with a face shield. Wood shocks, something you never really see in a welder's toolkit. If you're lifting an I-beam or something, and you put something under it and lift it, you push it away from you. If you wanted to lift straight up, all you do is put this on both sides and then bang in evenly, and you'd be surprised you could lift a 1,000-pound I-beam by just tapping these with a hammer, and it lifts up evenly. So those are pretty good. And also, if you need a little more space, you could just bang those into pieces of plate or into I-beams, and you'll usually get a little, 1/16 of an inch out of them. And I probably go through 2 of these a month. They break and everything. You use them a lot. We always have tons of pry bars, but I like to have a small one just that you could use with your hand, and then get a quick weld in if you got to push something out of the way. It's a cheapo file. This was like a 5-pack from Harbor Freight. The first one broke. I think I went through like 3 of them. This is the last one. I just didn't bring the round one because the round one I kind of have no use for. So just this is clean up the tips of your welding electrodes when you want to start again. Welding electrode. Mirror on a stick. Pretty good to have for inspection. Snot rag. Snot, obviously. If you're working in a tunnel, there's a lot of dust, and no matter how many masks you wear, you always get it. Matches in a lighter. Let's go in here. These are just your typical issued gloves, and then that's what I was saying. You just cut these gauntlets off, and then you could have your own neck protectors. These are my go-to work gloves. I buy them small, or medium, so they're tight on my hands. 1420s, Tillman, they're great. They're just like leather goatskin driving gloves. And if I need to TIG weld, which is rare, we don't really TIG weld too much, but sometimes we do. I can use it with that, and those are good for everything. We do all of our own rigging, so those are good for rigging. And then these are the alternative that I use in the winter, the 1450M, because they got the sheepskin on the lining. Issued mask. We don't have pappers because if we're working in confined space, they're usually pretty tough to wear. So you can only wear that. And then we wear regular dust masks when we're walking around. Ear protection is usually issued. This is probably my most important piece that I use is a Tillman 525. This is I keep a stainless steel carabiner on it. I keep it on my left side because I'm right-handed, so I can reach for the rods with my left hand while I got the stinger in my right, and then with my left hand I can pull this off and put it on if I'm using a torch. But like I said, I always keep a lighter on me just in case. I keep a pen and pencil on the inside here for my notepad, and that's just like your Lamy Safari pen that you can refill, and a refillable graph gear pencil. And the color determines the thickness of the tip, but these are really good pencils, so for writing notes I don't have to worry about sharpening it. I just hit it like that. And then for working in the dark, we have lights that we set up, big lights, and we have all types of lights, but I always keep 2 of these in my pocket. These are AAA lights. You know, these pretty bright, not bad. This is probably the brightest light, and it's the smallest. It's a USB rechargeable, and I clip this to one of my buttons on my shirt, so I always have it, and I could always just reach down and get a quick light going, if it works. So, oh well, maybe it doesn't work anymore. And then the headlight, and walking down the tunnel to where there's light, usually you're walking through the dark and you can't see. So I keep that, and I just drop it around my neck when I'm not using it. And we come outside. What we got in here? There's your typical cleaners for your torch, free Harbor Freight tape measure, which we'd always have tape measures everywhere when we were working, so I never really needed it. I lose these a lot, so these are just for welding on tabs or stuff, so I always keep one on me. I never really found the need to have more than one on me. Electrical tape fixes everything. White medical tape. This is good because you can mark stuff if something's not safe, it's not welded yet. You can write not welded, or if something is, allocated, like a piece of steel, like do not use or whatever, you can use this in a Sharpie, and you can see that a lot better than a crayon or a mean streak or something like that. Blue Sharpie, black Sharpie. Blue Sharpie shows up much better on ground metal, so I like that. And then for this, I just use black Sharpie. Silver Streak Welder's pencil, a no good deburring tool. Sometimes we do handholds or whatever in like confined spaces, and you just deburr it because somebody might not be wearing gloves. Center punch. The center punches I always regrind every once in a while. Can't really see it. And that's because I also use them as a scribe, so I don't have to carry 2 tools. That's 2 tools to lose or break. An adjustable spanner wrench, because sometimes the grinder is different. This whole pocket is like filled with soapstone. You should always have like 3 or 4 in your pocket, little break-offs or whatever. Carpenter's pencils. These are sharpened on both sides. So when you grab it, if something happens, you don't have to stop working to sharpen it. Just a regular, whatever this is, 8-way or 10-way screwdriver. This is a 32477, just whatever works. These are some plastic calipers. You get them from Harbor Freight for like $3. I bought like 8 or 10 of them. I've melted them, lost them, broke them, whatever. But they're good if you need to get a quick measurement on a bolt. What's the thickness of the bolt, or what's the length of the bolt? So I like having those close by. Also, they're good when they got the depth stop, but they are totally disposable. I keep this cheap knife in there. I put a good edge on it or whatever, but just a cheap knife. If somebody needs to cut something, or you got to cut something crazy like a tarp, you can use a cheap knife. You don't have to go into your pocket and use your good knife. And I got these when I was in the Marines. These are just like your regular Leatherman, and I don't think I'm going to be punching any dead cord anytime soon, but I got it. This pocket is my calculator. This is the T34, and I'll put it right there. These are like $10 used on eBay. I like the TI-36 better, but the 34 is pretty good. And here I also carry an angle finder, which doubles as my level. And then the 2 different Starrett reference cards are in that pocket. And then in my pocket, I always carry, this is my newest knife. It's a couple of years old, but that's and the reason I like Spyderco is because I've been through a lot of other knives, and you can open and close this with one hand, and it's pretty simple. And before that, I used this, which is the bigger brother of the one I just showed, and this was just a little bit heavy. It's getting stiff because it hasn't been used in a while. And before that, for like 10 or 15 years, I used this, which was an Auto Strike Benchmade, and it's pretty good, but it's a little rough to close because it's got the spring loaded. But I would suggest not to get the serrations because it's a lot easier to sharpen a straight edge. And then for a watch, I would always wear either this or the Casio World Time, something with a bright light that in the in the middle of the tunnel I could just hit the light. This does have lume on the hand, so you could kind of see what time it is. And then something that you're not afraid to lose. But I hope this helps. You don't need the most expensive stuff to start. You get the cheap stuff, find out what works, find out what breaks. If you lose it, it had nothing to do with the quality of the product. That was on you. But if you break it, is it because you rolled over it with an excavator, or is it because you were just using it in general? Because you got to make the decision. If you rolled over with an excavator, well, if it was a $300 Starrett combination square, it would have broke the same. But if you were just using it to lay out lines and stuff and it broke, well, that's the quality of it. Well, I hope this helps.